seen movies break box office records before, but this one made people think the apocalypse had actually started. Independence Day became the biggest film of the year and one of the highest-grossing movies ever made, yet the craziest thing about it wasn't the aliens. This sci-fi blockbuster relied less on computers and more on actual physical destruction. Entire cityscapes were blown apart using miniatures, more than almost any film before it, and on set, the explosions were not always announced. Reactions were not always rehearsed, and sometimes when things went off, the fear you see on the screen, well, that part of it was real. Audiences saw Oscar-winning visual effects, but what they didn't see was the controlled chaos taking place just off camera. That's only scratching the surface, but that's only scratching the surface. Today we'll get into 12 crazy facts that prove that Independence Day was far more real and way more reckless than it ever looked on screen. Number 12. The White House explosion used a miniature. The film's jaw-dropping destruction of the White House was achieved in a way that many viewers would never guess. Instead of using computer-generated imagery, the filmmakers went for a hand-built miniature modeled after the iconic building. This model was huge, standing about 5 feet tall and stretching out 14 feet wide, and built at a 1:24 scale, including a whole lot of details. The creators had paid close attention to everything and even included tiny furniture and small architectural features. When the explosion happened, the debris looked real, and it seemed like the actual White House was breaking apart. But here's where it gets even more cool. The team had rigged the highly detailed miniature with dozens of explosive charges and then recorded its destruction in a single dramatic take. Using high-speed cameras that shot up to 300 frames per second, the filmmakers captured the fiery explosion in extreme slow motion. This technique made the Mini's destruction appear massive and eerily realistic on screen. Back in the mid-1990s, CGI could not match the complexity or randomness of the flames and flying wreckage, so the filmmakers relied on the expertise of veteran pyrotechnicians. The precise setup ensured the final shot was full of real flames and shattering debris, which made the viewers jump out of their seats. Number 11. Entire scenes were rewritten mid-shoot. Who finalized the script and scenes when they were suddenly rewritten late in production? Well, it may surprise you, but several important moments of the film, even the action-packed finale, were rewritten after shooting had already begun. The most notable change revolves around the climactic sacrifice of Russell Cass, played by Randy Quaid. Originally, he was supposed to pilot his rickety crop duster plane rigged with a bomb straight into the alien ship, and filmmakers aimed for a powerful moment, but test audiences found it unintentionally funny and it lacked the emotional impact that they wanted. Faced with this unexpected reaction, director Roland Emmerich and co-writer Dean Devlin decided to overhaul the sequence only weeks before the film's release. They scrapped the comedic crop duster concept and transformed the scene into something far more dramatic. The new version saw Cass joining the military effort, receiving training on an advanced FA-18 fighter jet, and ultimately giving his life in a thrilling act of heroism. And let me tell you, reshooting the scenes required reworking dialogue, adding in new special effects, and even replacing 16 key shots in order to integrate the new ending into the existing footage. This storyline wasn't the only part of the script that changed, though. For example, an earlier version showed the Pentagon being completely destroyed during an alien invasion. But after the military reviewed the script, it was changed to better match their own perspective. Even the backstories of some of the characters were then updated. Number 10. The dog outran explosions practically. During one of the most exciting moments of the alien attack on Los Angeles, Jasmine's dog Boomer does something unbelievable. Imagine a huge wall of fire rushing down the freeway, destroying everything in its path. Jasmine, played by Vivica A. Fox, her son Dylan, played by Ross Bagley, and their loyal dog Boomer are desperately trying to find safety. And just when it seems like there's no way out, Boomer leaps through an opening in a tunnel just moments before the fire reaches him. He jumps from car to car, barely escaping the flames. The intense scene was made to feel as real and dangerous as possible, but there's something surprising you may not know. Although it was real, it wasn't actually as risky for Boomer as it seemed on the screen. Filmmakers made the scene using planned shots to keep Boomer safe. His jumps, movements, and final leap were all done with help from skilled trainers. Each part of his escape was filmed piece by piece in a controlled setting. And what about the huge wall of fire, you ask? Well, that was added in later with special effects and making the scene intense for viewers while ensuring that Boomer was never in any real danger.
Yes, that's right, Tom. An amazing moment. We're recording.
Now, in light of our apparent...
Number 9. Jeff Goldblum rewrote his own dialogue. Known for his improv skills, Jeff Goldblum ended up rewriting much of his own dialogue, especially in scenes with co-stars like Will Smith and Judd Hirsch. Director Roland Emmerich and writer-producer Dean Devlin encouraged a flexible approach to the script, urging actors to prioritize the emotional authenticity of their performances over rigidly sticking to the written lines. This open environment allowed Goldblum to engage in real-time ad-libbing, giving his exchanges a more natural and effortless quality. A standout example of his improv genius is the iconic line, "Must go faster." This wasn't in the original script, so instead it was a spontaneous addition influenced by a similar moment in Jurassic Park, another film that features the actor. Filmmakers loved how much energy that he brought with his improv lines, so they made sure to keep them in the movie during the editing process.
Into organic forms. And I think it was his big contribution to this film, to kind of like keep in a way this like alien.
Number 8. Designers avoided spaceship shapes on purpose. There's one reason why alien ships in the movie don't look anything like the typical spaceships you've seen before. When the production team set out to bring the invaders to life, they had one goal in mind, and that was to make their design stand apart from every other sci-fi film. But how did they manage to do it? Well, by throwing out all of the usual ideas of sleek rockets and shiny metallic gadgets. They imagined something entirely new. Production designers working with the director had created something extraordinary, where they envisioned the spacecraft that felt alive almost as though it were an extension of the aliens themselves. Every curve, surface, and minor detail was carefully crafted to feel organic, almost biological, with designs that were more like living anatomy than cold and hard machinery. And here's the most exciting part. The designers made sure these elements match the aliens' own features. If you look closely, you'll see how the shape of the smaller attack crafts mirror the top of an alien's head. Number 7. No digital doubles were used. When you think of blockbuster movies today, you probably imagine tons of CGI effects, but this movie didn't use it as much as you would think. Instead, filmmakers chose to use physical models and practical effects to make the destruction of cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. look super realistic. They even built incredibly detailed mini versions of city streets, landmarks, and buildings, and then blew them up using real explosives. The entire thing was filmed with special motion control cameras in order to capture each and every detail. These minis were added to the final scenes, making the explosions and the destruction look super real. Instead of using fully digital actors, as many modern movies do, the film used real actors who were filmed in front of blue screens, and then they combined it all together later.
Almost put a hex on the whole damn thing.
Number 6. Will Smith wasn't the first lead choice. Will Smith seems like the perfect fit for the role of Captain Steve Hiller, but here's something shocking. He wasn't the first choice for the lead. Back when the movie was still in the planning stages, director Roland Emmerich and writer-producer Dean Devlin immediately saw Will's potential. They knew his charm and the way that he clicked with Jeff Goldblum would be amazing, but not everyone agreed. The studio, 20th Century Fox, was worried that he wasn't yet a big enough star. At the time, most people knew him as the funny guy from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the studio didn't think international audiences would see him as a leading man. To make it even worse, some execs pushed back because they didn't want a black actor in such a central role, claiming it would hurt the film's overseas success. So instead, they suggested more traditional stars like Stephen Dorff. But Emmerich and Devlin weren't having it. They believed in Will and fought hard for him, with Emmerich even threatening to leave the project if the studio didn't cast him. Luckily, they won the battle, and the rest is history. Number 5. Studios didn't think audiences wanted alien invasion movies. Before the film was released in 1996, alien invasion films weren't exactly the safest bet for a blockbuster hit. Believe it or not, studios didn't think that audiences would go to the theater to watch Earth facing off against extraterrestrial attackers. By the early 90s, alien movies were either about friendly encounters like E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or they were just low-budget flicks that didn't make a whole lot of noise. The idea of a full-scale alien attack, the kind of epic planet-wide chaos that the directors had in mind, was considered old-fashioned, and many executives thought alien invasion movies were outdated and too risky to make. At the time, audiences were more interested in action-packed franchises and modern thrillers. Even with all of the doubts, filmmakers stuck to their big idea of giant alien spaceships, amazing explosions, and a cast full of stars. And when Independence Day finally came to theaters, it surprised everyone and became one of the biggest movies of its time. Number 4. Marketing hid major plot points. The marketing campaigns for movies usually reveal surprises, but Independence Day did something even bigger. They created a sense of mystery that got people talking and excited. The plan was to show just enough in order to get viewers interested while keeping the big plot twists completely secret. Early posters and trailers would showcase jaw-dropping visuals like a massive alien spaceship looming over Earth, or the now iconic image of the White House being obliterated in a fiery explosion, without so much as a whisper about the film's actual story. Taglines like, "We've always believed we weren't alone, on July 4th we'll wish we were," added to the suspense, hinting at a global destruction without giving away the nature of the alien threat or humanity's desperate fight for survival. One of the boldest moves in promoting the movie was a Super Bowl teaser that showed the White House being destroyed with no explanation. This shocked millions of viewers and got people guessing about what was happening in the film. There was even a special television program before the movie came out. It mixed in fake news reports with short action sequences showing bits of the alien invasion while keeping the story a secret. When people went to see it, they didn't know much about how the humans would fight back, what kind of technology the aliens had, or the surprises that were ahead, and this smart way of advertising made Independence Day a movie that everyone wanted to watch and kept the audience excited when aliens finally appeared.
Watch the deck.
Number 3. The U.S. military withdrew support over Area 51 references. During the early planning stages, filmmakers had an exciting opportunity lined up: real access to military bases, vehicles, and expert advice straight from the U.S. Armed Forces. This kind of partnership is rare but not unheard of when Hollywood scripts paint the military in a more heroic fashion. However, everything changed when military officials actually read the script. One thing stopped them right away, and that was Area 51. The infamous and mysterious base, often linked to UFO stories, was mentioned clearly in the film, and the Department of Defense wasn't too pleased, telling the filmmakers they had to remove every mention of the secret base if they wanted the military's help. However, the director and co-writer didn't want to give in, believing that Area 51 was a large part of the movie's mystery, which made the story exciting. And so, they refused to change anything, which led to the military completely backing out. Suddenly, the production team was left to figure it all out, and they only had one fighter jet to work with, so they had to get creative. Using special effects, models, and a whole lot of imagination, they were able to make the epic alien battle look amazing.
And what the hell is that smell?
Number 2. The Great Salt Lake stunk so bad even Will Smith improvised a line. During the filming of the famous scene where Captain Steve Hiller, played by Will Smith, drags an unconscious alien across a strange and empty landscape, something unexpected made the scene feel even more real. The scene was filmed on the salt flats near Utah's Great Salt Lake, but no one warned Will Smith about how terrible the smell there would be. Out of nowhere, his reaction surprised everyone when he said, "And what the heck is that smell?" That was not in the script, but was something that Will made up on the spot. The funny line took place because he got hit with the awful smell of millions of tiny brine shrimp. These shrimp, once they die, break down in the lake's muddy areas, and when the wind stirs up, well, the stink can be really bad. The moment felt so real and honest that it ended up in the movie. Number 1. The movie's original title almost wasn't Independence Day. It may seem strange, but the original title of the film wasn't Independence Day. During the early stages of production, the iconic title that we all know and love didn't actually exist. Instead, it went by the name of ID4. 20th Century Fox didn't have the rights to use the name Independence Day because another studio, Warner Brothers, had it locked down for a 1983 film. Fox started coming up with other titles like Doomsday and Invasion Earth, but none of them felt correct for the exciting story and big emotions that the movie wanted to show. And so, filmmakers Ronald Emmerich and Dean Devlin really wanted the title of Independence Day and were ready to put up a fight. To help their case, they added in the famous line, "Today we celebrate our Independence Day," to President Whitmore's powerful speech near the end of the movie. That scene turned out to be so powerful and moving, it convinced Fox to take the risk and secure the rights to the name. And it worked! Only weeks before the movie hit theaters, the studio officially renamed it Independence Day. And without that one iconic moment, we might have known this blockbuster by a completely different name. Now, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you know when we upload another video like this one. If you have any recommendations, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.